The roll will now be called, and those responding to their names will indicate by surname the nominee of their choosing. The reading clerk will now call the roll.
Adams. Jeffries. Adderholt. Jordan. Aguilar. Jeffries. Alford. Jordan.
The House will come to order. The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 432, of which the Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 200 votes. The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212 votes. The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 6 votes. Lee Zeldin of the state of New York has received 3. The Honorable Steve Scalise of the state of Louisiana has received 7. The Honorable Mike Garcia of the state of California has received 1. The Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received 1. The Honorable Tom Cole of the state of Oklahoma has received 1. The Honorable Thomas Massey of the state of Kentucky has received 1. No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess subject to the call of the chair.
A live look for you this evening at the U.S. Capitol in Washington, D.C. Republicans again trying to pick a new Speaker of the House at this hour, waiting on that next round of voting. Ohio Representative Jim Jordan saw a loss in his first floor vote. 431 members were in attendance, meaning Jordan could only afford to lose 3 votes, yet 20 fellow Republicans voted against him. This is the second time this year the House is tasked with electing a speaker, and just as Steve Scalise faced in his failed attempts last week, Jordan drumming up mixed reviews. Representative Elise Stefanik praising Jordan as a patriot and a winner. Democrat Pete Aguilar then nominating Democratic Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries for Speaker.
The pride of Crown Heights, a representative from the state of New York.
I rise today to nominate the gentleman from Ohio, Jim Jordan, as Speaker of the People's House.
In that initial round of voting, Minority Leader Hakeem Jeffries received more votes than Jordan. Now Jordan will continue to try to rally support ahead of additional rounds of voting. All 4 of Iowa's representatives voted for Jim Jordan. As of right now, Congress is currently in recess. Jordan has made it clear he is staying in the race. The next vote is supposed to happen tomorrow morning.
How many rounds do you think this speaker vote's going to take?
We need to get it. Watch yourself. Watch yourself. We need to get a speaker as soon as possible. Get to work for the American people.
Any concerns you've heard from members about tactics used to win your vote?
No. Are you going back to the floor today?
No.
But that's the plan.
When do you think the next vote will be served?
Jordan has just as many votes as I had on the first round. I think the difference here, too, is we have rules, so we can sit down, talk to the other members, and be able to move forward.
So you predicted on Fox Business he might win this in 1 vote. This is a long way from winning it. So what happened? Were you off on the vote count? Was that irrational optimism? What happened here that you didn't see coming a few hours ago?
That's just a negative question. What I saw is the exact same vote that I got when I ran and I became speaker. So,
do you expect them to go right to a second round now?
No. You've got to understand the difference between when we opened up and today. Now we have rules. We don't have to be stuck on the floor. The interesting part of why we're here, every single Democrat voted to stop one branch of government. They created this mess with 8 Republicans. Every single Democrat did that. And so I think what we'll do is we'll go sit down. We'll talk to those that have difference of opinion and come back.
We're going to keep going. I've had great conversations, great discussions with our colleagues, and frankly, no one in our conference wants to see any type of coalition government with Democrats. So we're going to keep working, and we're going to get to the votes.
How many ballots are you willing to go through?
Until we get a speaker. We got to have a speaker, and it can't be some deal with the Democrats. I mean, American people don't want that. They elect Republicans in a majority, small majority. I get it, but we got 200 votes on the first ballot. I think that.
This was true in the January 2023 election of Kevin McCarthy for Speaker of the House, where the Republican yes vote increased from about 200 to 213 after the 12th vote.
The House will come to order. The tellers agree in their tallies that the total number of votes cast is 433, of which the Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 199. The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 212. The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 5. The Honorable Byron Donalds of the state of Florida has received 1. The Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received 1. Lee Zeldin of the state of New York has received 3. The Honorable Steve Scalise of the state of Louisiana has received 7. The Honorable Mike Garcia of the state of California has received 1. Candace Miller of the state of Michigan has received 1. John Boehner of the state of Ohio has received 1. The Honorable Kay Granger of the state of Texas has received 1. The Honorable Bruce Westerman of the state of Arkansas has received 1. No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair.
House Republicans remain divided over electing a new speaker after a second vote today failed to produce a person with enough votes to succeed Kevin McCarthy. Jim Jordan says he will not drop out of the race. Meanwhile, the House Speaker voting has exposed rifts within the Republican conference.
I think we're a mess.
I think we should get a Republican speaker. I've been very clear about that. I think that's where the conference is. That's what our rules suggest. So let's get a Republican speaker and get about the people's business.
The stalemate comes as Congress faces a government shutdown deadline and proposals for military support for both Ukraine and Israel. Congress must decide on a long-term spending bill by November 17th. Some lawmakers say Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry should be temporary speaker. The vote to empower McHenry could happen sometime late this afternoon or tonight.
Just curious, what is your reaction to another failed speaker vote with the Republicans?
Well, I think it was a triumph for democracy in our country that an insurrection was rejected by the Republicans again as their candidate for speaker. We've always wished the winning party well as they choose their leader. I've never, in the decades that I've been here, when we've had a speaker's race on our side or their side, we've always respected each other's judgment. But today and yesterday, that was an assault on our democracy, as Jim Jordan assaulted our democracy on January 6th.
Have you as a conference at all discussed expanding Speaker Pro Tem McHenry's
You'll have
powers?
to talk to Hakeem about that. He's our leader and he speaks for us.
So in the long term, if we were to have Speaker Pro Tem McHenry go ahead and assume these powers, that sets a bad precedent. As you know, we rely on precedent for a lot of things, and we get down the road and people might rely too much on that in years to come.
That's a great point. So it really stems from why are we at this point? Why would every single Democrat vote to shut down a part of government, a whole branch of government? That's what they decided. They voted against tabling it, so they thought it was worth coming up. They made a decision in politics. Every single Democrat did that. And then they went to the parlors to try to stymie who's ever the Speaker Pro Tem. They want chaos. They want government to shut down. They want to play politics. They're not looking at the people. And you got the whole, you had 8 crazy, yeah, you had,
no, but Mr.
no, you had,
against President Speaker Pro Tem, and you have Ralph Norman and a few others.
Okay, but that doesn't stand. You had 8 crazies that are led by Gates that followed every single Democrat to shut down a branch of government. Now, is that going to be the new norm? You've listened to Nancy Pelosi for years saying they would never let that happen. You heard all of them say that they were opposed to all this. They pick politics instead of looking at how to govern. And it's very embarrassing that's what they've done.
Can anyone get to
Strategically, Jordan said earlier that he asked leadership to go ahead and put the resolution on the floor that said that McHenry would be empowered because he said he wants to see where people are on whether or not they want to.
Yeah, I mean, I think
what do you think?
Well, look, I think what Jim is doing is calling the bluff of folks that say that they're going to go work out a deal with Democrats. Good luck selling that back home, that you're going to go cut a deal with Democrats to choose the speaker. The fact is, I think I do not favor moving to the floor on that procedure. Never in the history of this institution, never, to the best of my knowledge, have we ever appointed a Speaker Pro Tem with the full powers of the speakership without having elected a duly elected speaker. We have not done that to the best of my knowledge. To do that would be playing games with such an important position that's third in line to the presidency. We should do our job and select a speaker. The Constitution says that. So any move to do otherwise is contrary to the Constitution and would do enormous damage to not just the Republican Party, but the House of Representatives. And I violently oppose any effort to do that on the floor of the House.
Do you think there would be a legal challenge to that?
I mean, I believe it's constitutionally not just questionable. I think it is directly contrary to the Constitution in terms of saying that we shall choose a speaker. And to go appoint somebody with the full powers of the speaker without having chosen the speaker makes no sense. So.
What do you make of the resolution right now that's being pushed around McHenry and empowering him?
I don't support the resolution. Even when I first started hearing about it, I didn't support it. And that's not indicative or anything against Patrick. I have the most amount of respect for him. But this body has to elect the Speaker of the House. The one thing that we need to be careful of is, even though we're in this period where members are frustrated and want to get back to work, we cannot unveil these other side procedures. Because in this town, once you unveil a side procedure, people tend to want to go back to that again and again and again. That's not the way this place is supposed to work. I do not support it.
So I'll just say this: we made the pitch to members on the resolution as a way to lower the temperature and get back to work. We decided that wasn't where we're going to go. I'm still running for speaker, and I plan to go to the floor and get the votes and win this race. But I want to go talk with a few of my colleagues. Particularly, I want to talk with the 20 individuals who voted against me so that we can move forward and begin to work for the American people.
All right, Congressman Jim Jordan agreed to cancel a third round of voting for the House Speaker's race today, but House Republicans are still at odds over what to do next.
Jordan now supporting a plan to give Speaker Pro Tem Patrick McHenry expanded power to preside over the House. Now, this gives extra time to Jordan to get a chance to sway more than 20 Republicans who did not vote for him. Georgia Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene expressed her frustration with Jordan's loss.
Yeah, absolutely. We voted for him to be our speaker nominee. We only had 2 votes. I wanted to see it keep going today and find a way to work with the holdouts to get together so that we can continue doing our work.
There are not enough Republicans who oppose the temporary speaker plan right now unless a majority of Republicans make a deal with Democrats to pass the bill. Minority Whip Catherine Clark suggested a bipartisan vote to move forward with the plan.
The key is that they come to us and say, we'll take yes for an answer. Let's get a bipartisan solution to move forward with their speaker.
Now, the deadline for Congress looms to pass a spending bill that would keep the government open. That expires next month. President Biden also expects to ask Congress for $100 billion in aid for Israel and Ukraine, along with the southern border.
The question, why did I choose McHenry? There's a number of people I chose. It's in the order. I think from a Patrick McHenry, I wanted somebody who had been committee chairs. I wanted somebody that wasn't seeking the job because their role was to carry it out and put it. I wanted somebody that could work with all sides. And McHenry is ideal for all that. If you watch him, he's not seeking to be speaker. He believes in the continuity of government. He's chairman of a substantial committee. He understands the working. He's been here a number of years, so he understands how Congress works. He has respect on both sides of the aisle. He could carry out the job. Remember, when you're Speaker, you don't determine whether the bill passes or not. The committees work on whether the bill comes before. You make sure government keeps working. It's shocking to me that all the Democrats and 8 of those crazies led by Gates would vote to literally stop one branch of government. Why would you do that? It makes no sense.
What are you telling members who are calling on Congressman Jordan to suspend his campaign?
That's the conversation with them. Look, I went 15 rounds in the process. And so he got the majority of votes inside the conference. He has the opportunity to go, but you all determine that. Steve decided not to go to the floor. I don't get in the middle of their races. They can determine whether they think they could get the votes or not.
Can I ask you, will a majority of House Republicans support this resolution, do you think?
I don't think they'll bring it to the floor unless they have the majority.
And do you think there is, and what's
I don't know. They're having a long discussion.
Is it still a possibility?
Nominations are now in order. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. McCarthy.
Mr. Speaker, I rise to nominate Jim Jordan for the Speaker of the House. Now, I've listened to the speeches this week, and I can already tell you what my friends on the other side will say using their poll-tested phrases. But let me correct the record. Jim Jordan is an effective legislator. To legislate is about more than the name on the bill. It's about reaching compromise and working long hours behind the scenes to get the job done.
The House will come to order. Gentleman may resume.
When you are the chairman of a committee, you are responsible for dozens of bills passing the House and being signed into law. So let me tell you a few facts that don't come in the polls. As the leader of the Judiciary Committee, Jim has passed more bills through the House in just 3 years than the entire Democrat leadership team that has their collective 28 years in Congress. Mr. Aguilar has a whopping 1 whole bill signed into law, a post office in San Bernardino. I guess that's good enough to be caucus chair. Jim Jordan, on the other hand, has a hand in drafting bills like the REINS Act to curb unaccountable bureaucrats. He helped negotiate and pass H.R. 2, the strongest border security bill this House has ever passed. And many of you know, because you were in the room, watching Jim find compromise, watching Jim listen to your positions, and finding a bill that can pass. And let's put this in reality. We've had large majorities, but we never could pass a border security bill. That takes leadership. Now, they're going to get upset by it. Why? Because every single Democrat voted against securing our border. Democrats are attacking Jim because they don't want the American people to remember that they voted against securing and keeping a wide open border. They may not want the American public to know the number of people we catch on the terrorist watch list. They may not want people to know what the future holds in the security for our nation based upon their policies. Name me one bill Democrats passed that would secure our border.
I'm waiting. You can't, because they haven't. Mr. Speaker, the truth is, if we measure lawmakers by how many bills have their name on it, we are using the wrong measuring stick. Some of my members I know with the most bills to their name are the most selfish. Jim Jordan, on the other hand, is one of the most selfless members I know. I've known Jim a long time, so I want to do something different. I actually called the freshman members on his committee and asked them, what do you think of your chairman? Here's just a few. I quote, Jim empowers every member of judiciary to pursue what interests them. I quote by another, he lets each of us take the lead on the issues that are important to us, even letting freshmen and junior members take important roles. Another one, he trusts our judgment on how we handle issues and witnesses, and always seeks our input on key issues. Another, as a freshman, he had me lead off a hearing that related to my subject matter expertise, and he goes out of his way to highlight member successes. He is straightforward, honest, and reliable. That is who Jim Jordan is, and that's what being a speaker is all about. Now, some of you might not know this, but Jim and I have a long history. We created because we take our job serious. I first met Jim as a candidate. I traveled to Ohio. I remember pulling up for breakfast at a Bob Evans in Ohio. There was Jim having a meeting, listening to constituents. I traveled with him throughout the day, from Rotary to Farm Bureau, to just listening to people that had concerns. And I watched them, the same Jim Jordan I see today. He was a leader, a listener, and a fighter. We were actually elected to Congress that same year and became close friends. It was a small class. There was only 13 of us. It was one of the smallest Republican classes in modern history. Over time, we took different routes. Jim actually ran against me for leader in 2018. It was a hard-fought battle. But I never once questioned his skills or commitment to this conference or this country. After the race, I became leader, and we had an opening for the ranking member on House Oversight. Jim didn't even apply for the job. I walked into steering, didn't tell steering. I walked into the other room, and I picked up the phone, and I called Jim. I said, I know you're not running for the job, but I believe in what Jim Collins says in the book, Good to Great. You put the right people in the right seats on the bus. And Jim, you and I may have challenged one another, but you were the right person for that seat. And it was right when he took that job. It was right again when I asked Jim to step up and join the Intel Committee when Democrats put politics over people and turned the Intel Committee into an impeachment committee. It was right again when we asked Jim to step up and be the right person to lead Judiciary Committee as chairman. And Jim is the right person to take that seat behind me to be our next Speaker of the House. Mr. Speaker, we have an important job to do. The American people expect us to focus on the most pressing issues. We've watched what the Democrat majority has done and brought us inflation like we haven't seen since the 70s. We've watched what the Democrats have done by opening up our border bringing fentanyl, killing Americans each and every day. And now we have a war in Israel. This country is too great for small visions. Trust me, being Speaker is not an easy job, especially in this conference. But I've seen Jim spend his entire career fighting for freedom, no matter what, no matter the odds, and I know he is ready for the job. And so it is my honor to say, as a member of the Republican Conference, I am directed by the vote of that conference to present for the election to the office of Speaker of the House of Representatives the name of my friend, the Honorable Jim Jordan, a representative from the state of Ohio. I yield back.
The tellers agree in their tally that the total number of votes cast is 429, of which the Honorable Jim Jordan of the state of Ohio has received 194. The Honorable Hakeem Jeffries of the state of New York has received 210. The Honorable Patrick McHenry of the state of North Carolina has received 6. All right, the House will come to order. The House will come to order. The Honorable Byron Donalds of the state of Florida has received 2. The Honorable Tom Emmer of the state of Minnesota has received 1. Lee Zeldin of the state of New York has received 4. The Honorable Steve Scalise of the state of Louisiana has received 8. The Honorable Mike Garcia of the state of California has received 1. The Honorable Kevin McCarthy of the state of California has received 2. The Honorable Bruce Westerman of the state of Arkansas has received 1. No person having received a majority of the whole number of votes cast by surname, a speaker has not been elected. Pursuant to Clause 12A of Rule 1, the chair declares the House in recess, subject to the call of the chair. The Honorable Patrick McHenry of the state of North Carolina has received 6.
When he told Patrick McHenry himself that he had received the vote, why did the Democrats applaud and cheer?
All right, the House will come to order. The House will come to order. Hi, everybody. House Republicans will return on Monday at 6:30 p.m. for a candidate forum, followed by an election process on Tuesday morning at 9 a.m. The reason why I made that decision is we need space and time for candidates to talk to other members. It's fair to say that Leader Scalise wasn't given adequate time. He had 24 hours to campaign. I don't think that was right for him. Our nominee, Jordan, was given a little more time. Not right for him. The conference made a decision that we're going to move forward with a new speaker nominee today. But the space and time for a reset is, I think, an important thing for House Republicans. Now, on the national security front, we have fully constituted committees. Committees can still work, and they are working. Chairman Rogers, Chairman Turner, Chairman McCall, Chairwoman Granger are all working. I want to thank the administration for their briefings on the supplemental request for national security. Our committees are working with the administration, and the goal there for our committees is to be ready to respond legislatively once we have a duly elected Speaker of the House. And it's my goal to be talking to you at this time next Friday as Chairman of the Financial Services Committee.
Are you doing a floor vote on Tuesday? Is that your plan?
That would be the goal.
No.
Well, it was, I told the conference it was an honor to be there, speaker designee, but I felt it was important that we all know the answer to the question if they wanted me to continue in that role. And so we put the question to them. They made a different decision. I told the conference that I appreciated getting to work with everyone, talk with everyone. I got to know members in our conference that I didn't really know that well over the last 3 weeks. and that we need to come together and figure out who our speaker is going to be. I'm going to work as hard as I can to help that individual so that we can go help the American people. And I'm also going to go back to work. We got several depositions lined up next week in the Judiciary Committee, work that we need to do for the American people in our investigative work. So we'll go back to work there. But it's important we do unite. Let's figure out who that individual is, get behind him, and get to work for the American people. Thank you.
Yeah, so you guys are going to go home?
Yeah, unfortunately, Jim is no longer going to be the nominee. We'll have to go back to the drawing board. What history will look at, the crazy eights led by Gates, the amount of damage they have done to this party and to this country is insurmountable. I've never seen this amount of damage done to just a few people for their own personalities, for their own fear of what's going through. And really, it's astonishing to me. And we are in a very bad position as a party, one that has won the majority, one that America has entrusted us with, that a simple 8 people have put us in this place.
So what's going to happen next? What kind of names do you expect to be on the candidate forum list?
I don't know. I mean, on a very serious note, this is talking about the person third in line to the presidency. And the furthest step anybody takes is from the front row to the podium. A lot of people here that might put their name in might not have the knowledge of what it takes in others. So I hope we had some other people up for the job. They both could have done the job. I'm concerned about where we go from here.
Will you get back in? Will you get back in?